Shalom, family. How's everyone doing? All right, good. So, welcome back to another Faithful Friday Sabbath class, okay? Faithful Friday Sabbath class. And we're going to continue reading and breaking down the book of Ecclesiastes, okay? And we left off in chapter 11, so we're going to pick things back up in chapter 11, and we're going to go ahead and start with verse 4. Okay, so we'll go back over verse 4. I believe that's where we last left off. So Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 4. It says, "He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap." So what is this letting us know? That it similar to like what Christ said, and may be aware, the inspiration of it comes from you reap what you sow. So if you reap sparingly, if you sow sparingly, you're going to reap sparingly. And if you don't sow at all, then you're not going to reap anything at all. So it literally is according to your actions. Whatever work that you put in, need to be a lot, or need to be a little bit, or need to be none, you're going to get based upon what it is that you put in generally. So that's one of the key things that's letting us know and understand. Verse 5, "As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of God who maketh all." So similar to the way, even though there's somewhat of an idea, we're not sure in terms of the ways of the spirit of man, and everything that makes that up and how that moves across various spectrums. And we're not even sure how does the bones, how does it actually grow? How does it, man, even us, how do we grow? We come from this small thing, these little cells, and these little cells, these soft tissues grow into something more firm, more solid. We're not even sure of the whole complexities and how that all happens and comes about. Yeah, we know, you're fashioned in the womb and the cells multiply and things, but we're not as aware of it as what we could be, as even like you would say how God is, we don't know in terms of how he knows. And so with all these things, it's similar in terms of with the works of the Most High God who makes all. We're not aware of everything that he's made and how all those things came to be. And some of those things we're just never going to know. It's just beyond our comprehension. We have to say those are things, questions better left addressed for God himself. When we're in, if Most High willing, we are able to receive that everlasting bodies, and we can be with the Father and ask him more of those things. And now verse 6, it says, "In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand." So many of us, we get in a place to where, all right, well, I did some work in the morning or in the daytime. It's nighttime. I just want to rest. I kick it, But it says, look, in the morning, work, but still in the evening, don't be afraid to put in some of that extra labor. Some of us be like, all right, I'll worry about it tomorrow. Now you can still put in some extra labor. Why? It says, "For thou knowest not whither shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good." So this is something that deals with, don't be afraid to put in that extra work. Or sometimes it's and this can be used in a variety of applications. Sometimes it's one of those things in terms of, okay, let's say employment. You might be working this part-time job, during the day, but if you might be able to have success, doing, your side work or whatever side hustle at night in the evening, it may be prosperous. You may not know which one may work out better for you. You might think, okay, well, with this job, I have a steady income, and that's good. But then, shoot, you put in this time here, you might be able to build a secondary business that might actually prove more successful than the first. And that's part of what it's talking about. Don't be afraid to put in that work, because you don't know if it might prosper better than something else you may be doing. So, and it's one of those things where it can be a sacrifice at times, because at night you just want to rest or relax, but putting in that extra work while you're able to, especially while you're more so in your youth, man, it can pay off, later on. Even with those long hours. It's the same with, I may work this job, even if it's 9 to 5, but I slowly but surely,
I'm going to night school and slowly but surely working out these classes so I can put myself in a better situation. Hopefully, get, even if it's not as much of the education per se, but the qualifications on paper through the so-called education that now will qualify me for some of these better positions, that now I can leave this job and now I can work a job that can put me in a more affluent situation, a more economically sound situation. That's fine. That's good. That's part of what it's talking about as well. So, read on verse 7. Truly, the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun. So it's letting it know, like, man, it's a beautiful thing to be able to behold good in life. Wake up, see the next day, and you're able to see, man, it's beautiful outside. The sun is up, the birds are singing in the air, plants is looking beautiful, So, but now it's still speaking on, these things that it gets into verse 8. But if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that cometh is vanity. So, with all those years, even if you have many great times, still think about those bad times. Those bad times is something that should humble you. The bad times is when you reflect on those, it helps you become more appreciative for the good times, because you understand everything it took ultimately to get there, to have those good things, but you don't ever want to forget, like they say, don't forget where you came from, you know. So, and don't believe that, or sit yourself on, they say, a pedestal or high horse, that you don't believe you can fall back down and end up in some of them bad situations. You have that. You have, many people that have those types of testimonies. Verse 9, it says, Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things God will bring thee into judgment. So you see, it's giving you that balance. Okay, it's telling you, like, man, in your youth, like, man, have joy. Have joy in your youth, because your youth, that's the pride of your strength. That's the pride of your strength. That's when you're most fashioned in terms of your physical excellence. Okay, that's when you're able to perform at your best in your youth. And youth is also in terms of what perspective are you dealing with youth. This is something that's multifaceted. One aspect, we think youth of just little kids, and we just think, okay, 8, 9, 10, 11. But nah, that ain't just youth. That's your early childhood. But then you have your youth. It's also them teenage years. It's also, you still a youth in 13, 14, 15, 16. And that's a big part of you. But then you also have your youth in, when you're very young, like in your 20s, you're coming to early adulthood. But then you still have your youth in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. You're still in your youth. You're still in your prime, because you should still, old age don't begin until 60. Some don't ever make it to see old age. They die in their youth. And then once you start getting old, even though we get older, you're still not old. You're still in your youth. So those should still be good times to rejoice, to be able to enjoy your life and have pleasure. I would say, Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth. In the days of youth, let your mind be cheerful. Let it be able to get you out of sorrow and depression. Let it be able to, hey, pick yourself up. And it says, and walk in the ways of thy heart, meaning that if you have things that you want to do, like, man, I want to draw, I want to color, I want to build this, I want to build a shack, build a shed, I want to add on to this. Like, man, if there's things you're looking to do, I want to be a barber, a cosmetologist, a plumber, construction worker. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And in the sight of thine eyes. But no, because some people think it's a free-for-all to just do anything I just want to do. Nah, that's not what it's saying. And it's saying, even within those things, whatever it is you choose to do, be mindful. It says, but no, because it's speaking on. That colon lets us know it's still speaking on. It's still speaking on the subject. But know thou, meaning know for a fact, that for all these things God will bring thee into judgment. No, however you choose to live, there's still going to be consequences. It's, if you're not moving right, you got to answer. In reality, you got to answer for the good and the bad. You're going to be judged accordingly. So keep all that in mind with however it is you live in life. But still rejoice and have fun. Only in the Lord. Verse 10. Therefore, and it's letting you know, therefore, remove sorrow from thy heart. You have to learn, and it's a skill. It is a skill to learn how not to allow your circumstances in life to put you in a position where you're depressed, you're saddened, or crying all the time. You have to build your spirit up and your resilience by increasing your faith in the Most High. That, man, if God helped me get through this, and He helped me get through this, and even this, I know I wasn't even the best player. I was kind of off in terms of my righteousness, but He still made a way, and now I'm improving. Oh yeah, He'll make a way out of here too. I know it. So you know He's going to come through. You just have to wait for Him. And in waiting, there's patience. Because waiting is not just the ability to wait, but the ability to wait with what? Yeah, good attitude. You have to have a good attitude, a good mindset, knowing who's in control. And Most High God, in due season, He'll provide a way out. So we got to remove sorrow from our heart, meaning our mind, and put away evil from thy flesh. Evil is anything contrary to the scriptures that the Most High God says not to do. So or He says to do, and you ain't doing it. So you have to remove evil as well, and not cause your flesh to be involved with things that could be adding to the negative things in your life, which will be increasing the sorrow that you're dealing with. So that's the other part of it. So part of it is the mindset shift. The other part of it is the action in terms of what you could be doing that could be causing these unfortunate events to happen unto you. Okay? Or the curses. All the curse is, it could be a hex, but it's all unfortunate circumstances, misfortune to happen to someone. It says, for childhood and youth are vanity. So lets us know childhood and youth are vanity. Okay, so it gives us both childhood and youth. Okay, because I could be out of my childhood, but I could still be young. That's why I say young adults. So and many things, and think about it. Think about the mind of people that are still young versus people that are old more so. There comes a time and say, look at those 60 plus, you start to usually slow down versus those in their 20s and 30s and 40s. They still want to have fun and do certain things that, 20, 30 years down the line, 40 years, you don't have the same mindset or spirit most of the time. And even if they do have certain things, it's still a shift from when they were, younger, very young. So need to be your childhood or your youth at all. Those things are still vanity, trying to fulfill a lot of the carnal aspects of desires. So a lot of those things are still going to be left unfulfilled even after you obtain them. It doesn't matter what it is. You can get a wife and still want a wife. You get a husband, still want a husband, because of things that person is lacking, or things within yourself that you're lacking, and false expectations you have of someone else or what the situation should be, and it doesn't turn out how you imagined it to be. And now you're lacking. And you're still not content. Same thing. You want that job, and then that job, you hate that job now. You want that car, but then that car gives you all the problem. Now you hate that car. You want these clothes, and then now you want more clothes. And then those clothes aren't. You can still chase a lot of the same things. Still not being satisfied. And usually by the time you get old, 60 plus, you become more content and more satisfied with what you have. Need to be little or much. You grow more content over time. You learn it. So, and you stop trying to chase everything that comes to mind and everything that you see with your eyes. So, there's a difference. Now let's pick up with chapter 12 and verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, "Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth." So now, why did it say remember thy creator in the days of thy youth? Because usually when you get old, you realize that my time is short. I'm going to die soon. But when you're young, you feel like you're just going to keep living. You feel like you got many years left ahead. You don't feel the same way. You feel like you still got time. So someone in they, 20s, 30s, 40s feel like they still have time. Versus someone who's in their 70s, their 80s, like, I ain't got long left. I don't know how many years I got left. Because it's a little different. So that's why it says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. Okay? And them evil days can mean a plethora of things within themselves. Them evil days on one hand, on the left, can mean in terms of judgment. We think of like the end days or God judging. And then on the right hand, them evil days can be things in terms of did I save up enough for retirement? Oh, chronic health issues, my arthritis and high blood pressure and stroke, heart attack, all these different things. My ultimate death coming. All these evil days. Those are all part of what it is it's dealing with. So it says, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh. What year? The years of your death. Them years towards your ultimate removal out of this world, before those things draw close. You need to start remembering them. It says, nor the year draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Those two. Because why would you not have pleasure in them anymore? Because now I'm not able to move the way I used to move. I can't just jump and do everything I used to do and cartwheel. Now my back hurt, my knees hurt, my feet hurt. You got people that 30s and 40s feel like that. Shoot, can't even imagine another 30, 40 years plus. How much worse what do you think it's going to be? Especially if you're not taking care of yourself. So it's like, man, that's what it's saying. That's why you ain't going to have pleasure in them. So it's like, man, you need to be seeking the Most High God out early. Not when you're getting close to about to die, and now it's like I'm scared for my life or what's going to happen to me or things of that nature, or I need to be in a space where I'm doing what I can to be of good use and service to the Creator while I am young. Not in a place to where he's out of sight and out of mind. And only when something fatal or near fatal happens, I'm really trying to concern myself with him and his affairs and what it is he wants to do. Before my schedule for God is looking like this, but as I get old and I know ultimately years catching up, it start opening up more and more. I was like, nah, see, start out big, focus on me more while you are young, because I could be a big part of your life. And yeah, to bless you, help you along, but it's also a relationship. Who wants someone to just come to them at the last minute with a bunch of stuff? You want to come to God at the last minute hoping he fix all your issues. Last minute hoping he fix you economically. Last minute you hoping he come around and want to help you or fix you your health and these other issues. What about when everything was good? We hate it when people come to us like that. You only call me when you want something. You only visit me when things are bad. How come you just don't check on me? How come most High the same way? How come you don't just, ask see how things are going? How come you don't just pray to me when things are going good or bad, happy or sad? At all times you want to come to the Most High. Let's continue. Verse 2. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. So, and that too, understand even when that's part of that judgment too, when things ain't looking good and, you have situation need to be now is fires everywhere, houses in jeopardy, burning down. Now you want to say, God, help me. What was all that energy the other day? But you want to wait till things get this bad and then you want my help? So, verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So, and this is a big part of that judgment. When everything, whenever the world's going to hell, now you want to call on God. Well, you got to think wisdom. We're going to hell. There is a point when it's too late. And sometimes it's like, man, it could be too late. Remember, God does not work for you. God is not your genie. God doesn't need you. You need him. He would like to extend his hand out to you, but it's like, hey, he still makes a choice. Just like you make a choice with certain people, you keep knocking on their door and I ain't messing with him no. I ain't messing with her no more. God, he has the same ability to make a choice. Remember, he's the judge. He'll decide, you know what? This brother, yeah, I'll give that chance to because of this, this, and this. This brother, I'm going to deny because of this, this, and this. This sister, yeah, I'm going to give her a chance because of this, this, and this. Well, this sister, nope, I'm done with her because of this, this, and this. Yes, he's gracious. Yes, he's merciful. But understand what those words mean. Grace, time period. Time period to get right. You have time. You have a grace period to pay your phone bill. You have time to pay it before they shut it off. Light bill. Grace period to pay it before they shut it off. Grace period. You got time to get right with the Most High before he cuts you off. Mercy. Merciful. What is mercy? A lot of times it's when you should have gotten that harsh judgment, but instead, this time, I won't judge you for this. But next time, I get you. Like a cop, he could pull you over merciful. You know what? I should have gave you a ticket for speeding, or I could have, but I decided, you know what, to warn you this time. Just be careful next time. Merciful. And mercy can also be, it's sometimes not just a pardon in that way. Mercy is, you know what, for this crime, the thing is 7 years. But you know what? Because I've seen this, I'll give you 2 years. That's mercy. Dang, it should have been 7 years. I got 2. That's a blessing. I'll take it. That's a blessing. That's a form of mercy. Okay? Mercy isn't just cookie cutter. These are different forms of mercy. I can get off scot-free, and hey, mercy. Other times, it's a lesser sentence. Both of which are acts of mercy. So now, 4. Verse 4, and it says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. He shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mortals go about the streets. So, in that, is more so explaining itself in terms of just the reality of the shift when things are bad. Our mindset and our spirit, the spirit of our mind, it goes with it oftentimes. We lose sight of the good and we can be in one breath more focused on God because of the destruction, but then also it's just more self-centered only because I want to be okay. I want to be good, but you wasn't thinking about that when times were good. You weren't really thinking about, God in the same self-care and manner. So it's only now because things are happening around you that you feel threatened. That now you want peace, safety, and security. So, and now everything around you is a burden. Like I said, the grasshopper is a burden. Why? Because he's eating up all the green. And if he eats up all the green, that causes famines. Now there's a lack. We lack food and water and things of that nature. So now it's a problem. So, and then it's a situation desire fails because desire in the sense you're wanting, I don't, or vexed because I don't have what it is that I need. And it gets to a point to where even in that it's taxing, because it's like, man, how long will I have to continue to endure this bad situation? Verse 6, or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. 7, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. It's giving the whole thing. This is even twofold within itself. It's giving that look. And then ultimately, yeah, you end up dying. Your body goes back into the earth, but your spirit goes back up unto the Most High. So, but now, not just because of these plagues, disasters, judgments, you can lose your life, but ultimately, this is also showing that what happens to us when we die, that naturally our bodies decompose. They go back into the earth from whence they came. There are the same minerals you find in the earth, you'll find in the human bodies, showing you that we come from the earth. The human body is biodegradable, recycling at its finest, original manufacturing. So you have that. And then your spirit, no matter if you were, as one would say, a good person or bad person, your spirit goes back unto the Most High God. So where he separates the good spirits from the evil spirits, and he judges them, uses them accordingly. So verse 8, vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanity. So again, as we've been covering this, you've been learning and seeing how so many things, it's vain, it's vanity, it's worthless. Verse 9, now it says, and moreover, because the preacher was wise. You want a preacher, you want someone teaching you, that has some wisdom. You don't want someone who's dumb or a fool teaching you. So, and it also goes to show, if you're going to teach others, you want to have some wisdom. You don't want to be dumb or a fool. And allow others to be able to say that, yeah, you do have, this person is wise on some things, and does have an understanding of these things. And it says, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. You want to teach the people. Give them knowledge. Give them information. Okay? So, and it says, yea, it is still explaining, yea, he gave good heed. But even with that information, you want to make sure you're taking heed. You want to make sure you're doing what it is you need to be doing. Otherwise, you can make yourself out to be a hypocrite as a result, in failure to lack your own teaching and words, or you can just make yourself look like a fool because you've instructed and taught many, but were of no use to yourself. And the scriptures speak about that. So it says, yea, he gave good heed and sought out, meaning what? You got to research. You seeking out. You got to, you trying to look to find. That's researching. I'm trying to look to find these things. He sought out and set in order many proverbs. So, and there's a time that, set these things in order. That's why you make lessons and things of that nature. There's a topic, there's a focus, and let me set some of these things in order so I can better convey a particular understanding and whatever it is that subject matter is dealing with. Verse 10, it says, the preacher sought to find out acceptable words. Not every word is acceptable. Not every teaching is acceptable. Not everything is sound. You got to find things that are acceptable and sound and good. And it says, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. So you want to make sure you're finding out words of truth. I'm teaching sound doctrine. I'm giving others things that are good and edifying. So this can be good, but I got to set that to the side because it's not solid. I don't want to cause confusion. So I'll just sit on that for a time until the Most High reveals more. I'm able to better research and get a more solid understanding before I just teach something. Just because I learned something new don't mean it's edifying for the masses to hear. So I sit on it for a time. Verse 10, the preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. Verse 11, the words of the wise are as golds, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. So what is that saying? The words of the wise are as golds. You know what a gold is? A goad is an instrument or tool used to drive cattle. That's what a goad is. And how would wise words equate to a goad? A wise words, just as a goad is used to drive cattle, wise words can help steer you and drive you in life to go down the right path and get you moving down the right path and do what it is you need to do. So just as a goad is going to drive an oxen to work, so are wise words going to drive you to be successful in whatever endeavor, go down whatever path you need to go down, so that whatever needs to happen can ultimately happen and happen and be executed in a well way that's sufficient to whatever it is that needs to be done. So the words of the wise are as golds and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies. So nails fastened by the masters of assemblies are those that work in construction. You know, so when it's like how when we look at many that deal with modern, construction, if you don't have nails in that wood, is that wood going to generally stay together? No, it's not. It's the nails are what fasten it together and help hold it in place. So likewise, when it's dealing with the words of the wise, though that's what's going to help hold you in place and help get you to stick to whatever it is you need to stick to. Ultimately, just like them nails coming together to stick that wood together. So, and it says which are given from one shepherd. And that's the other thing too, because the reality is you should only have one shepherd. One key shepherd. So, and first and foremost, that's the Most High in Christ, first and foremost, at the root, okay, the big picture, all right? But then, even within that, you still need to have it to where, who are you focused on learning from? You don't want to have a situation to where you're learning from 10, 15, 5 different people, because it can cause confusion, because some may teach things, very differently from others. And even some things can contradict one teacher or school of thought from another. So, which is why you're encouraged, if you're going to study or learn under a camp, you need to be wise in terms of who it is that you choose. And even if you don't choose a formal organization, like what we think all right, Sound Faith Ministry, that's a formal organization, and you don't have a formal title, that is still a school of thought there. Like Christ said, hey, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, you got 2 or 3, you got a camp. You just may not have a particular title or name, or you may not be a complete organization or have a complete government, but you're still a camp, so to speak. So even if it's just a few people there. So now, but it's with those things, you want to make sure, well, where do we get our learning from? Who is that, teacher, who's the shepherd that is leading that? So who's that leader? Whether you want to call him captain, apostle, bishop, priest, whatever you want to call him, who is that person that you're learning sound doctrine from? That matters, because you want to make sure that there's one key person that I can go to. This person is the leader over that. That's order, because someone has to be held responsible. And government is, okay, you still have subordinate leaders, but they all follow suit to that main leader. Why do you think in the New Testament you find that, you had the disciples of Christ, you had the disciples of John, the followers of Christ, the followers of John. They had someone that, we know, even though we're leaders, but this is the head leader. Even Christ, after him, he set up Peter, that even though these are the 12 disciples who were named apostles, and then later being trained to become bishops to take over all the need of the church, but this is the archbishop. This is the head or the leader amongst leaders. You're a leader of leaders. You're the head leader. Someone has to be that and take on that mantle and that responsibility. Like it, love it, or hate it. You do your due diligence and choose. You have to have that. So now, reading on, verse 12. And further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books, there is no end. And much study is a weariness of the flesh. Okay, now that's something else too that we have to understand. It says, further by all these words, be admonished. What does admonish mean? It means it comes from H2094, a primitive root to gleam, figuratively to enlighten by caution. Admonish, shine, teach, give, or warn. So by these, be warned. By these, be cautioned. By these, I'm teaching you that of making of many books, there is no end. So understand that if you're one who, whether you write, you like to write poetry, articles, books, or you're teaching these various things, know that there's no end. There's always going to be something else you can teach on, always something else you can write about. There's always going to be something else. But he's saying all that as we continue on, and he's saying, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. There's a point that with all of your studies, all of your increases, it can tire you out. It can fatigue you. It can fatigue the mind. It can become taxing. Okay, just know there's always going to be something. You can write every day for years and still have something to write about, something to teach about. So understand there's a balance. You have to find a work-life balance and understand that just as it's just as important to write or teach those things as it is to make sure you're living accordingly, and also your family as well. So you have to spend time not only reading the book, but applying it in your life. Making sure this is you give certain things openly, you teach the people, you still come back and teach those who you're attached to. Your spouse, your children, you still want to make sure your family is just as stable as well. Sometimes you can do so much for those without, but you may not be doing enough to sustain those within. And that's on both dynamics. On the major front, you could be doing everything to gather the sheep, but you bring them back to a pasture that doesn't have the resources to sustain them. So you got all these sheep you can't even feed and take care of. But you was good at gathering, but now it's like, dang, they need water. I ain't got water. They need hay or grass, and I ain't even got that, or I need more space. They ain't even got, clean pasture. It's like that. You can gather people and not have enough resource to sustain the people once they get here. You have to make sure things are good. And then likewise, even for your family, it's like, man, you get a wife, or you marry, but guess what? That's a blessing, but there's also work involved with that as well. You have to sustain that. It's a relationship. You got to talk. You have to communicate effectively. You have to exchange. You got to hug sometimes, kiss sometimes, laugh sometimes, and you have to be affectionate at times. All those things, it's part of the relationship. You have kids. Guess what? You got to teach them. You got to discipline them. You got to play with them. These are all different aspects of the relationship that it has to be there so that you can balance all of those things out. These are the things that you have to learn. And it's what it's saying. And much study is a weariness of the flesh. In 13, it says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter at the end of the day, because you can study many things but apply very little of it. And then it's, well, what good is it? And you can study many things but still not be of much use to the people in terms of how you're teaching those things. What good is it? You just sit on all the resources. So I'm saying, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. At the end of the day, what's most important? Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Why? Because I can do a lot of writing, I could do a lot of teaching, I could do a lot of talking, but it doesn't mean that my life is reflective of what it is the scriptures say it should be. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Because lest I've preached and taught unto others, but I myself be a castaway. Because, and it'll be a say, man, that brother could teach. Man, I'm too bad he ain't made it, but I made it, and he couldn't save himself. You don't want to be in that situation. You're so pressed to get all this knowledge and information, but yeah, you never took the time to get the understanding of what that information was conveying. Or yeah, you got the information, got the understanding, but you never took the time to actually apply it in your life. Then what good was it? Part of you roast not what you took into hunting. Went, got the information, you study, you look up, but yet and still, you never actually applied it in your life. Now, just fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Your duty, your purpose is to make sure you're staying in a place of respect unto the Most High God and his laws, and allowing that to keep you to where I don't cross that line and offend, and I stay within compliance. And I make sure I do that within everything that I decide to do in life. I filter it through the word of the Most High. And it says 14, for God shall bring every work into judgment. Everything he's going to bring into judgment, the good and the bad. It said with every secret thing, the things you thought wasn't nobody watching. Oh, nobody saw me do that. Nobody was there. Oh, it was dark. It was at night, and just you see, God saw, his angels saw, Satan saw. Spiritual realm, remember, spiritual realm, them walls don't mean nothing. That only stops human eyes. It don't stop spiritual eyes. So, whole different playing field. It's I can see you. We can still see you. And spirits is always around you, good and evil. They are everywhere. So they ain't missing nothing. So it says, for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So whether in secret you're doing these good things and I just, help these people out, and they, I ain't tell nobody about it. I just, they needed help, I just helped them. Okay, yeah, because secret, it's not really known. It's not really made public. Not too many people know that it was done. Secret can be either nobody knows, or secret can be only a select people know. A select few. Those things can still both be considered secret. So it's one of those things, whether those things be, good or bad, guess what? It's going to be revealed. But pray that those secret things in your lives is something that is good rather than bad, because it's bad, it could be, even worse, because already if it's secret and it's bad, it's already deception and things of that nature, and foul play at work, aside from whatever the evil it is that was done. So because now you're trying to hide sin and hide iniquity. So like Achan, he took that Babylonian's garment. You don't want that. But this concludes the book of Ecclesiastes. The last part that we'll do to close this series. Pray that, you've enjoyed, this book and this series, and pray that it is something that helps you to, better your lives, and most high permit, we'll be able to break down, more books, another book, and pray that this, series was edifying and enjoyable. Pray it was enjoyable as well. But with that, I pray that it answered, some questions you may have had on the series or on the book, and just enlighten you more. And if you haven't watched, all the parts, I, pray you go back and, if you're online, watch all the parts and see the whole thing, so you can get a more, in-depth understanding of what it is that the scriptures are talking about, okay? So with all these things being said, again, I encourage those that if you're watching online to like, share, subscribe to, more so teach others about the truth. They don't have to be a part of this organization or anything, as long as they're sincerely trying to repent, but that they do, follow sound doctrine and sound teachings from someone, okay, from someone. And, those things are always what's at the forefront because we're always calling people unto Christ. They don't have to, be with, I'm just a vessel, so, and hopefully I can maintain a righteous vessel. But the goal is always calling you to, the Most High God and Christ. But with that, you guys can, you guys can always donate, help out the ministry, and help us, further our works as well. So that's always helpful if it's on your heart or mind or spirit to do so. Okay. But with that being said, Brother Yatar, Bishop of Sound Faith Ministries, and with that I say, Shalom.